My name is Meg Tuohey. Together we'll gather wisdom from a wide range of voices, thought leaders and seekers just like you. Through individual stories, we'll explore multiple categories of wisdom and uncover how the stripes of our experiences, both joyful and challenging and all that lies in between, intertwine to create a rich tapestry of life. So whether you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or simply a moment of reflection, you're in the right place. This is Wisdom Stripes. Lady Carter is a real estate mogul and devoted mother. Today we speak about her hard-earned wisdom. Growing up in the Bronx, Lady didn't have the easiest childhood, despite being in a loving home. She shares insights and strategies for thriving in both the competitive world of real estate and the difficult task of single parenthood, and a whole lot of other stories in between. Lady joins us today to discuss how she grew her business brand into what it is today and how becoming a mother at 17 changed her for the better. Lady Carter, welcome to Wisdom Stripes, where we are your no-nonsense, fierce fairy godmothers, turning pain and confusion into clarity and confidence. Welcome.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you for having me. Yes, this is beautiful. I hope I could shed some wisdom.
Yes, I cannot wait. We start all of our podcasts, Lady, with the same fundamental question. What wisdom would you like a listener to come away with today?
Be your authentic self. Be you, right? We don't have enough of you. It's only one of you. Literally be your authentic self.
I feel like that is a very wise statement. And I think that is actually something you work on right across your life. And I think you never get it done. There's such a great unfolding of and a blooming of who you really are if you are attuned to unlocking or peeling back those onion layers. What's your experience of finding your authentic self?
Just listening to your voice, right? So for me, I've always had a loud voice, right? So rather if it was, my inner voice, my outer voice, for me, I go to church. I didn't always go to church. But you always have that voice within you that is telling you, okay, right, wrong, or what feels good for you. But sometimes you tend to go against it because you want to go with what your family members doing or what your friends are doing, or just to be accepted, even though you feel like this doesn't feel right for me, right? So it starts off small and then it gets bigger. Then you hear that voice. Then from that voice, that graduates and you start to unfold another level of, I like this stage. I can respect my voice. But now how do I develop more of who I am and how I feel authentically me and being comfortable in my skin? Like, how do you feel comfortable in your skin, right? So for me, it's just, if I'm loud, I can be loud. If I'm aggressive, I can be aggressive. It's okay. So long as you respect everyone, right? You want to be respectful of people. But you can still be who you are and be caring for others, but I can still be aggressive and be okay with that. I don't have to shy away from, I am aggressive, and that's okay. That's a part of who makes me who I am.
I've got a lot of questions for you, Lady, but there's something you just said then, and this is my waggy finger, which is for emphasis, and for excitement, not for criticism. But there's something you just said there that really captured my attention. Waggy finger. And that is around the idea of staying connected with someone and also being aggressive. So one of the things we sort of infer is that aggression is bad in terms of the harm that it can do. And I think there is wisdom in understanding that you can behave in aggressive ways that are still safe and connected with other people. And what I mean by that is I think it's linked to your nervous system. So if your nervous system it's kind of in its cool setting, which is that it's downregulated, it's safe, it's kind of happy and calm, that with a level of aggression is very non-threatening. It is just about maneuvering to get through something. I think aggression is dangerous when it's linked to a charged nervous system. And a charged nervous system is when you're in fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flop. And that is wisdom right there, I think. I wonder if you would agree with that or if you might like to expand on that.
Well, okay. So I totally agree with that. So when you look at being assertive, right? So I came from a time where, growing up as a young woman, around everybody had a bigger voice than me, even though I had a loud voice, but I felt insecure in who I was, right? So when you feel comfortable in saying, okay, I'm assertive, I've been told, oh, no, you should say assertive. But if you're still in the positive of thinking of others and being caring towards others and being respectful of others, but still speaking up for what you feel is good for you or good for them, or just sharing your insights or what you would like to happen while you're involved, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with speaking up for yourself. Men do it all day. They speak up for themselves all the time, and they get, oh yes, again, it's not in a negative sense of pushing people out of the way or fear that you're going to lose something. So I'm going to get you out of the way so I can get it first, or like that Black Friday sale the day after Thanksgiving where everybody's pushing and shoving, and not that type of aggression. No.
Not the aggression that does harm, lady. We're not doing harm, but you can still have a focus.
Right. You can still have a focus and you can still be caring. Like I was very aggressive in creating a mentoringship program. Right. I reached out to people that I thought I would never be able to get. And they came out and joined. Kirk Franklin, it was just people who I didn't think would be a part, but because I said, this is something I want to share with others, and I'm going to speak very loudly. And when I say loudly, I don't mean in vocal terms. I mean reaching out to people that you would think, oh, that person is off limits. This person is off terms. They're not going to know who you are. Yes, why not? Why not try? And that's a part of being assertive, right? But for me, it's okay for me to be aggressive.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think it's about the tenacity in a way. So aggression also is often about tenacity and insurmountable obstacles that perhaps others might not climb or go through. And you often need a bit of extra power to get through those hard things to actually grow into the next version of yourself, the version that has done the thing you're trying to do. And I think we undervalue that type of power.
Right. So also, I had my son when I was 17, right? So at 17 years old, I was told, well, what's going to happen to you? You're not going to be able to make it. You're not going to be able to, do good for yourself because now you're a teenage mom. You're a statistic where it's now, you have all of these odds against you. And that was not the case for me, right? And I had to speak even louder for me and my child. No, we can make it. No, I can do it. And if anything, he was a part of my driving force to do better, right? So growing up in the midst of hip hop and that whole era where it was beautiful, in the old vintage New York City where people see graffiti now as artwork. Well, they didn't see it then as artwork, right? So growing up in the midst of that, being a young woman and a teenage mother, I had to speak loudly, and I had to make sure that my voice was heard, not in a cruel way, And I had to learn to be honest. I had to learn over the years how to go from very quiet and okay, well, this is what you're telling me to do. I have to accept this. To no, I'm not going to accept this for my life, and I'm going to move forward, and we're going to be okay. To having a balance of not shouting, but being able to be aggressive in an assertive way, in a very calm way, to be able to say, this is for me and my family, and I can do this. You don't have to believe in me, but I believe in me. God has given me a gift. God believes in me. He's given me this talent, and I'm moving forward. Right? So it's just being your authentic self and being you. You have so many young ladies now and young men now who feel that they have to belong to a group, or they have to belong to other people, or have to be validated by others to feel like they belong, or to quiet their voice to say, I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be canceled. I don't want to, we've all make mistakes. No one is perfect. But if you stand by who you are, or if you learn and grow every day, that's another piece of advice I would love to share, is be authentically you, that's open to learning and growing every day. Every day we have something to learn. If you're not learning and growing, then we're stagnant. It makes no sense.
So one of the things I would like to ask you about, lady, is you were 17 and you were pregnant with your beautiful son, and there is an outcome that we get to know about you all these years later, because he has grown. You have grandchildren now. We have the gift of time to look back. Where you started and where you are now are very different experiences of life. I wonder if you could sketch for us that journey and what the wisdom was behind being able to turn the naysayers of, well, you're a teenage pregnancy statistic, into perhaps something that is 100% turnaround, or a 360-degree turnaround, or a 180-degree turnaround, whatever the saying is, that took you from facing this way to facing this way. Could you help us understand that journey and how you did it and who you became in order to do that?
Oh, well, that's a pretty long journey, so I don't think I would be able to put that in a short term. But if I had to use one word, it's nothing but the grace of God, right? So that sums up that. But the journey itself is pretty, it's long, so I wouldn't know where to start at.
Could I ask, let me help you, because I will ask you a better question later. Let me say, where did you start? What happened in the middle? And where are you now? You have just had your beautiful boy. You are 17 years old and you have come from a loving home, but it was not an easy childhood. And that's my understanding of the very bare minimum. And what I know now is you are a real estate mogul. You have a how do you say that word? You have a foundation that serves others now, teenagers. That is a big, beautiful rainbow from one end to the other. So I wonder if you could take us from the 17-year-old you with the statistics against you and people using those as a weapon against you, and walk us to the halfway point of how you moved out of that space and into a place of real blooming.
Well, the real blooming came in my spiritual growth. Right? So that's one. Again, that's God for me, right? So it was my spiritual growth. I wasn't there at that time. I mean, I grew up in a church and I grew up going to church and I grew up praying, but I didn't have my own journey. I didn't have my own relationship with God. Um, that little girl who was 17 years old was very afraid and nervous and full of fear, timid, um, shame, embarrassed, right? So, and then I was told, well, what are you going to do with your life now? All right. But my son was such a gift, such a blessing, that that him allowing me and me being blessed with this child, um, that I connected as a mother in a whole nother way, where it was first the biggest love of my life, one of the biggest loves of my life, because I have two children, right? So it just opened up a whole nother, I don't know, it's like it blossomed, like this was just a beautiful gift that I was blessed with. But then the struggles came, of course, because how do you feed them? And I worked for the state and had to work all these late hours and lots of hard work, and I had to figure that out. And then God blessed me with watching people in my family who was doing real estate, my extended family. And I started to see that, and I wanted to learn more about that. And just knowing who I should have around my circle. And my son also allowed me to grow up. I grew up pretty quickly because I wanted to be a better mom for him, right? So, and I had my family members supporting me, but when you go someplace and let's say when you apply for the school or you go to the doctor's office or anything small, minor, and they're like, well, how old are you? You're 17? Back then, it made you feel so shameful, like, and that's where the word becoming more aggressive of speaking up, like, you will not shame me and you will not make me feel like this. And as I grew and grew spiritually, I just started to envelop to different stages of my life that I felt more comfortable in helping my son grow and nurturing my son and just pouring love into him, and then pouring love and nurturing my daughter. My daughter came about 9 years later. So, and just developing my family with my husband. And I don't know, I mean, that's a very fully stocked question. It's at the age that I'm at now, from 17. That's a few decades in there, right? Of growth and learning and growing every day and understanding that everything that happens to you is for a reason. And it's something that you can learn out of that, and gems for you to pull out of that. And it's stretching you to be a better version of you. And by no means, when I brought up that I was a mother as a teenager, I didn't think anything about it because I usually don't talk about it, because to me, that was my norm, because that just became a part of who I was, and it helped me loving my son. It was such a blessing that I was able to be a mother to this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful boy, So I don't know. Again, if I had one word, it would be God, and my spiritual growth, my spiritual development, and learning every day how to be a better mom, how to be a better person, how to be a better friend. It's just how to be a better you, and being authentically me, and understanding that it's okay to be me with flaws and anything else that's going on.
I am going to ask a question that I can feel on the ethers of our listeners, lady, and is slightly adjacent to what we've been talking about. I wonder if you and I might unpack, and maybe I'm going to find the right word, but it's something about the confidence. It's something about the surety, the certainty you have about it being okay to be you. Now, I feel like that is the journey of life. We are born, we go through the systems, we go through family systems, school systems, work systems, college systems, friend systems, and often those systems are trying to shape us into something sort of not generic in a bad way, but there's sort of like this is how we do it. And I think over time, over our lifetime, our goal is to unpack who we really are and to live a life that matches us on the inside, on the outside, so that we have that fluidity between my internal world and my external world. And there's a real congruence there. I think that takes a lot of time to do. Now, I can hear that that is a way that you live already, lady. So what I would love to explore with you is how you gave yourself permission to be who you are and to let that be available to you as a choice that was relatively easy to make, or is now easy to make.
I just did. I didn't have a choice. I just did. I just did. It's you can't hide in a corner, right? You can't, as long as you're living on someone else's terms, or you're being small for others, or if that you're being less of what you feel that you can be, you're not thriving. You can't live like that. At least I can't, right? So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's not the answer that you're looking for. I'm not sure, but I just did. I don't know how to, it came with a lot of growing pains. It wasn't easy, but when you can't live stifled.
Let's talk about the growing pains of acclimating to yourself. How do you how do you start to open more of who you really are to the world with all the risk that comes with that? How do you build the muscle to get used to that? Tell us about that.
Well, okay, so you're saying, how do you build the muscle to do that? Time and experience, right? So time and experience, and just saying that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to because see, that's a part of it. See, when you make a mistake, right, then you tend to go back into the shell, right? Or a young person, or a person who is trying to find their authentic self, right? So, oh, I made a mistake, or this person rejected me. So now, because this person has rejected me, or I feel like I made a mistake, or I don't feel like I'm a part of this group, or they told me that they don't want to be, they don't want to allow me to be a part of their group. Then you go back to a safe place of being less of you and more to fit in. That's not safe. That's like trying to hold your breath and run. You can't do it, right? Have you ever tried to hold your breath and run?
That is the best expression I've ever heard. I've never heard that before, lady. That is fantastic.
Right, trying to hold your breath and run at the same time. It's not going to work, right? If you're trying to live and grow, develop, right, but then you're holding yourself in, and you're holding yourself back, and you're holding your breath. And how do you take the deep breath and let it out, and keep moving forward, right? You have to be you. You have to open up and just be you. Everybody deserves to have their privacy, don't get me wrong, right? You get to share with what you want to share, but you should be your authentic self. It wasn't popular at one time being an inner city girl from the Bronx, right? No, it really wasn't. Having a child at 17, that wasn't popular, but that's my truth. That's who I am. That's who made me. That's how God has made me, and God has blessed me with my children, and it's a blessing, and I'm honored. I'm honored to be their mother. I'm honored to be that young girl who came up in an era where everybody celebrates hip hop now, but no one was celebrating that in the South Bronx. Then everybody was like, "Oh, this is terrible," and some of it, but it made me who I am now, and it made me more aggressive, right? To speak up, to share who I am. aggressive in a good way, right? Or, if people feel comfortable with the word assertive, it's assertive, aggressive. It's just saying, I can speak, I can share my voice without being dim. Share your light without being dim and without disrespecting someone else. So I don't know. That was a long journey, and I thank God for my journey. But for me, one word is God. I couldn't have done it without God's grace and mercy.
Hey there, Meg Tuohey here with a quick and exciting announcement. As a psychologist, coach, and founder of the Wisdom Lab, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of individuals break free from the vicious cycles holding them back and tap into their infinite inner wisdom. If you're tired of feeling unheard, unseen, and stuck in the same old struggles, the Wisdom Lab is the breakthrough you've been yearning for. This on-demand program guides you through a powerful process to shatter emotional barriers, overcome deep-rooted blocks, and experience the profound transformation you deserve. In just 4 hours, you'll gain the tools and insights to revolutionize your life from the inside out. Want to learn more? Click or tap the link in the show notes for all the details. Okay, now back to the episode. Lady, I am going to do one more question here and then I will move on. I think the last piece that we haven't teased apart is the impact of those that move away from your authenticity. So when we reveal more of who we are, perhaps we're less pleasing because we no longer fit the cookie cutter of what we're supposed to be. Some people move away and we might have the sense that I lost my family, I lost some friends, I lost these people.
You still love your family and your family will still be there. We didn't say to cut off your mom and cut off your dad and tell your brothers and sisters who you don't see eye to eye with that, oh, I don't want to deal with you. No, you should never do that. But that's a part of being respectful and loving. Love your family for who they are and they love you for who you are. And if they can't, then you still love them. And then, it still feels good to be able to say, well, this is who I am. I'm very different from everybody than most people in my family. I am. I think differently and they have come to say, well, we understand that is who she is and that's it. But when you have authentic love, it doesn't matter. You love each other. You don't have to sit around and talk business and talk politics. Why can't you just enjoy each other and just understand that the memories and the bond that you have as a family is authentically there, right? That is a part of authentic you. But now if someone is making you feel is being abusive, being disrespectful, then you respectfully love them from a distance. Sorry. You respectfully love them from a distance. And when I say that, I mean, doesn't mean that you don't go around them. Let's say that you went around them for Thanksgiving dinner. Why can't that you break bread with your disrespectful uncle? Right. It's an hour. Have dinner with your family and say, oh, well, I have to go now. Right. And then that's it. Then you move on. Now, if people are throwing bottles and things are that bad, then that's a problem, right? That's just a problem on a whole nother level, right? For anyone. But if it's just about people not agreeing with your views or respecting your viewpoints as an adult, it's 20 minutes of your time. You would do that with charity for someone right? I know I would. I mean, out of charity that we give people our time, right? And you can't give your family your time and just love on them just for a little bit, well, a lot of it, but you eventually have to come around, but you don't have to be there every other day, right? But when someone needs you, you don't have to see eye to eye with their views or you can ignore some of the things that they say just to give them some love and support that they may need because they were there for you as a child, right? I don't agree with everybody in my family, but I love them. and I'll be there.
They're two different things, aren't they? And what you've teased apart there, lady, is a few things. One is you don't have to agree. You can let people be who they are, and you can be who you are. You can move away and make some distance and also be connected. And I think the third thing that came through for me is around the recognition that it is okay to not put yourself in harm's way. And it's also okay to let yourself belong in a way that is good for you and respectful for you. And I do wonder, and you haven't said this, so I'm wondering this, and it might not be true. I wonder if your relationship with God is your strength and your solace, which means that other people can feel or make judgments about you in a way that doesn't deter you from your sense of belonging to yourself and to God. And so you have that sense of you can feel like you will about me. I can still love and appreciate you, and I am okay here with me, with my relationship with God. Have I read that right?
I'm totally a child of God, and I believe in a higher power. And for me, that is God. And I am grateful and I'm blessed for all of his blessings. And right, I may not be someone else's cup of tea, and that's okay. That's okay, really. And why are we not okay with that everybody does not have the same cup of tea, right? But we all, I would describe as God's children, and we're all made to be here to love and respect each other, but we don't have to agree with one another. That's just madness, right? So there's only one of you, Meg. There's only one of me, right? If I sat up here and was you and you were me, you grew up in Australia, right? Yeah, okay. And I grew up in New York, right? So I visited Australia and I fell in love with Australia. I love the people there. Everybody, no worries, mate. I mean, beautiful, right? And right. And here, I love where I live at, and I love the city that I grew up in. It's kind of different now, but the point is that it made me who I am, and God placed me here, and God has placed you there, and God has given your gifts and your talents, and God has blessed me with my gifts and talents. I became a mom at 17. You have your story, right? But when we come together and we can talk and we can visit with each other, we can respect each other, we can love on each other, but we don't have to hang out with each other if it doesn't click, right? So it's okay. I think that's a part of being your authentic self. If you do not have to click with everyone, but you should respect everyone, right? Everyone does not have to agree with you. And that's what I think is wrong now, is that everybody feels that they have to agree with you. We have to find some football team to sit on. Right. You should be you, and it's okay, right? So everyone thinks that if you look a certain way, or if you're from a certain area, you can dance and sing or whatever. No, it's not. Right. Or if you look a certain way, you grew up a certain way, then you're very smart, you're very bright. No, everybody is so different. And if we can all just be our authentic self and just stop being so nervous of people being afraid of sharing who they are. Again, everybody deserves a privacy. You don't have to talk about everything that has happened in your life, but just be okay with just showing up and bringing your gifts and talents to the table. Like, how do you bring your gifts and talents to the table if you're scared to be yourself?
I would like to switch gears. My understanding is in 2016, you lost your beautiful husband, William, to... Actually, I don't know how he died. So let me start that again. So I'd like to switch gears, lady. I'd love to talk about your foundation that you started for your husband, William, where you're serving underserved students in Westchester County in New York. And I would love to hear about your relationship with him and what that experience has been like.
Well, Bill, Okay, so his name is William L. Carter. Everybody called him Bill for short. And Bill was just the love of the party. I mean, he was just, you talking about someone being their authentic self. He was genuinely his authentic self. He was so comfortable in who he was. He didn't care, you know, and everybody tend to, he just drew everybody in. He just drew everybody in. His love was so big for so many people. He was the commissioner in Greenberg, the commissioner of the Theodore D. Young Community Center. And he just did so many beautiful things, and he just shed his light on so many different people, the seniors to the teenagers to the babies. He just shares himself and his past and his life with so many different people. So when he passed, I was heartbroken. He was my best friend. He was my soulmate. I'm still in love with him. And, you know, I started the William L. Carter Foundation. It wasn't just myself, family members and friends. And it was just to, you know, at first it was because of his memory. You know, he was the epitome of giving back, of community service. So that's why the scholarship is, you know, the core of the scholarship is, you know, one of the requirements is students have to be engaged in community service. They have to have a certain number of hours.
What lessons in wisdom did you learn through the death of Bill? Sorry. Let me say that again. That is a really beautiful legacy you've made for him and a really lovely way to honor him every single year. And I love that you've done that for him, and I love that you've done it with your family. I wonder if you would be comfortable sharing with us about Bill and what it was like for you to walk through his death and the years since with the grief and probably the joy and also those mixed kind of feelings that grief is.
I'll share a little bit because you know, I'll definitely share a small bit. So it was very challenging. To this day, I miss him. But if I had to learn anything, it's you in life. Nothing stays the same. You cherish the memories of what you have, and you thank God for your blessings and your memories that, you know, the people that he's placed in your life, right? So my husband was definitely a gift to our family, and he was a phenomenal man. He was a phenomenal husband. He was a phenomenal friend. So, you know, I was honored to even have that. Right. So so at first I was very angry, but to be angry and to be selfish and say, well, I didn't want to let go and you want to hold on, and all that is human. That's human, right? But I'm not God, right? So therefore, God had a bigger plan. My husband, towards the end of his life, he suffered. I was his caregiver, and to watch him suffer the way he suffered, and he did it with a smile. He never complained. He didn't complain, and to watch this man not complain was something. You know, he was teaching. He was, you know, I'll never forget. He was an adjunct professor. Right. And this was days before he passed. He really wasn't doing well, and he was very sick. And he told me, he said, well, I have to go teach my class. I said, you can't teach your class. What do you mean you're going to go teach your class? You can't teach your class. How are you going to teach your class? He said, no, I have to teach my class. I have to get there. They're expecting me tonight. And, you know, I said, well, he said, well, I'm going to have to drive myself. I said, well, you can't drive. He said, well, you have to take me. And I said, you are in no position right now to go. So the nurturing, mothering, right? Instead of me just being a wife and hearing what my husband is telling me what he needs to do. I said, no, I'm not taking you. You can't go. So he said, no, I have to go. And he proceeded to walk out. I figured if I said no, I wasn't, that would be it, because he couldn't drive, right? And he said, no, I have to go. So he proceeded to walk. I said, fine, I have to take you. Oh, Meg, I was so upset that he was doing this, because I said, this is not good for him. Because, you just want to protect, you want to nurture, you want to protect him from any outside elements, because he's already very fragile, and he was very sick, and you see his health deteriorating in front of your eyes, to the point this man was very independent, always driving. And that day he had just stopped driving. He was like, the day before he realized that he couldn't drive any longer. And I was like, okay, well, that's a big sign that you need to slow down. Well, we got to the school, we got to the university, and he said, well, I'm going to go in. I said, okay. I said, well, I'll walk you upstairs to get you situated. And I went with him upstairs to get him situated. Then I wasn't going to stay. I said, I cannot watch this. If he's doing this, because again, I'm not thinking about anyone else except his protection and trying to preserve him as long as I could, right? But I'm not God, right? So he gets upstairs, and I'm upstairs with him. I'm helping him put everything on the desk. I'm helping him get situated. And the students start to come in. And they just love on him. And he just blossomed. And I saw a light and an energy. And I was like, wow. And I said I was going to leave once he was situated. I was just going to go back downstairs. Well, of course, I couldn't go anywhere. I just stayed, and I became a part of that. And it was just in that moment. Then I realized, and then I felt so bad. I said, I almost came this close to stopping that. That's what, we're not God. You don't know why something is happening, right? But you have to allow it and allow God to allow it to take its course, because you're going to learn and you're going to grow. And that day I grew and learned so much just by watching. I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. I was standing there, and they created this circle around him. Everybody started to pray, and everybody started to sing and just join in together. And it was so uplifting. And it was so, that room it was a night class. It was so full of light. Like it was like 12 noon in the day. It's like you saw all the light coming in, and it was just beautiful. It was beautiful.
I can feel that from top to toe, lady. I can feel it through every pore of my body.
That was a beautiful memory. And he died maybe like a couple of days after that. So he was very sick.
He knew, didn't he?
He knew, and he was trying to prepare me, and he was okay and sharing his light still with others up until he literally, it was something. It was really phenomenal. And these young people, his students, was just so loving, and just what they shared with us that night. And again, I came this close to not going and not taking him. And when I got upstairs, I couldn't leave. I said, wow, that was something so special. You felt God in that room.
I can feel God in this story. I feel like he followed the internal prompts, the light, maybe God, maybe his own intuition, and he led that whole process. And you took his influence, and you showed up and supported him. And the gift was so layered that it lit the room up in the middle of the night. And what I mean by that is he got to belong and see his impact and give at the same time, which was one of his values. He gave to his students what end of life looks and feels like, and what belonging to each other and celebrating life and each other looks and feels like. And he also was and instrumental in one of your last together in physicality learnings of, when you partner with someone, they are one of your greatest teachers. And what it feels to me like, lady, is this was one of his great last physical teachings of you. I'm sure you've kept learning over the years from him. And in that moment, he showed you. He was one of his last gifts. And I think somewhere he knew that. I can kind of feel his wisdom, and I can feel him what a person.
So my husband also was a part of allowing me to be my authentic self. He used to always tell me, "What do you care what they think about you?" It's like, oh, well, what would they say? What do you care what they would say about you? What do you care what they would think about you? And they used to be like, oh my goodness, how could you say that? Like, you have to care. No, you don't have to care. He used to always tell me that.
So that kind of is your core circle, lady. You've got your two beautiful children. You've got your relationship with God. You've got your beautiful bill. And maybe there's more in it, but that is a core circle that is like, you be you.
You be you, right? So, yeah. And of course I have my mom, dad, my sister, and, I have a beautiful extended family. They're great, but I've been very blessed with my relationship with God, and He blessed me so much with not just my immediate family, but with my extended family. But it took a while to get here, So, right, everything doesn't happen overnight, and it's okay. It's a part of the journey. It's a part of the journey. So just enjoy it, right? And when you need a break, it's okay. You take a break, you sit down, take a little break, and then you get back up. And just know it's okay, just like, again, the running. My daughter used to always tell me, why you always use sports? I was like, I don't know. I used to love sports. But, when you're running, you get tired, right? So you may need a break. I don't care. I don't care how fast you run, how slow you run. I don't care that you're just walking. Sometimes you have to take a break and sit down, but it's okay. Then you get up after your break and say, I'm going to go back to being my authentic me. There's nothing wrong with that.
I have one more question for you, and then I'm going to leave you be, because I feel like I could talk to you all day and all night and all day and all night, and that is not fair.
No, you're sweet.
Oh, thanks, my friend. So my last question is, we've covered such beautiful terrain together tonight, and I'm so grateful for your time. I can feel so many parts of your journey are resolved, and some are maybe still open and you're working on them. And I'm just curious about what you're working on next. Like, what remains unresolved? Are there particular scars that you have yet to fully heal? Do you have a question that's still you're on a quest to answer? Where are you in right now in this moment in terms of what you're working on next?
That's a good question, Meg. I'm always learning and growing. So, and I'm always on a quest, but I'm always very adventurous and I always believe in healing, but I guess right now is just learning how to be a better grandmother, and be present for my adult children, without, making them feel, like it's okay because they're doing things different from how I would do them or whatever. It's fine to still be there and support and love them. And I guess, to continue to grow in my business, right? To continue to evolve in my business right now. And the foundation. How can I reach more people, more students in the foundation? How can I help more? I want to do so much. It's like, everybody knows that inflation is has affected a lot of families. And there's more people that need help. genuine help, right? So how can I help more students and their families?
Yeah, I like that. And I have this lovely idea that I like to ask you about as we start to end and wrap up this time together. And I have this beautiful picture of us on a porch, and we've got those beautiful I can never say their name, the Adirondack chairs, and we're gathering. And there's some spaces, some empty chairs, and people are going to fill those that we're going to spend the night with. And we've each got our favorite drink, whatever that is. It could be warm, could be alcoholic, it could be sparkling water. And we've all got, like, it's fall, so it's a little chilly, so we've got a little rug.
I love sparkling water and I love hot chocolate. The only thing is with hot chocolate, it's so challenging to find vegan hot chocolate, but whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can have one of each. You can bring both of those drinks, because it's not a one drink place. You can have whatever you want. And so you're now settling yourself in, and this group is coming to sit with you, and we're all sharing wisdom, but there's one thing that you're going to share for them. And that's kind of, each of us has one thing we're sharing. And so I'm curious, as we have embarked on this lovely conversation tonight and we're gathering on that porch, what's your last piece of wisdom that you want to leave with our listeners who have joined us with their cups and their drinks?
So for me, love God first. There's a higher power. Believe that there's always a plan for your life, right? 2, love your neighbor, right? Love the person next to you. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to connect totally with them, but just respect and love them. Because when you do that, everything else is going to be smooth. Even if you love them and say, I love you, but I'm going to go over here now, right? That's okay. And then love yourself. Don't let anyone else put you in any situation or make you feel less than, or you feel like you have to be validated from someone else. Love yourself. Pour into yourself. When you pour into yourself, you'll have more to pour into others. Right? How can you give if you're half full? But when you're full, it automatically comes out for other people. So love God, love the person next to you, and love yourself, please. That's it.
That is a very powerful ending and a wonderful conversation we've had tonight, lady. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thank you so much for your time and being here with all of us. I cannot thank you.
Thank you. And we was going to talk about real estate, but thank you.
We did not talk about real estate. Did you want to?
No. I want to talk whatever you want to talk about, babe.
Well, unfortunately, I like this kind of stuff. I don't not like real estate, though.
I want to come and visit you in Australia. I want a reason to come back over there in Australia. Seriously.
Well, I would like a reason to go to New York. I've never been to New York. I've been to America so many times. I've never been over on the East Coast.
Oh, you would love it.
I would. I would love to see you again. I would have loved our time together.
So how do you feel about snow?
I like snow. I lived in Germany for 2 years and it snowed all the time.
So then you should come during the Christmas season. It's beautiful. All the windows is dressed up. All the Christmas decoration is out. Ice skating in Central Park or ice skating in Rockefeller Center. Yeah, those are the fun things to do. All of the touristy, they're fun. I still love it. It's just a whole different vibe.
I feel like that sounds like magic. It sounds incredible. What a great idea to plant in my beautiful brain. I love it.
So you're coming this year?
Well, let me go talk with my old friend and see what we can do. Wouldn't that just be the best?
Yeah, really. And I'll take you around. I'll give you a very authentic native New Yorker vibe feel, right? I'll show you all of the stuff that you're not going to find on a tourist map.
Lady, that would be such a privilege and such an honor. I would love to meet you and give you a hug in real life. I just have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
I did too. Thank you, Meg.
You're welcome. Today we spoke with Lady Carter, a successful real estate mogul of Lady Carter Homes, as well as a powerhouse mother and grandmother of 5. Lady grew up in the Bronx before it was cool and shared her inspiring journey of becoming a mum at just 17. In 2016, Lady's beloved husband, Bill, died, and we talked about his legacy and his last days and the impact he had during that time on all that loved him, including leaving Lady with wisdom she uses to this day. Her wisdom on navigating these challenges are truly inspiring. Lady, thank you. My name is Meg Tuohey. That was another episode of Wisdom Stripes. If you'd like to keep up to date with our episode drops, give me a follow on Instagram at Meg Tuohey Official, and of course, come back next week for another episode of Wisdom Stripes. Thank you for listening to this episode of Wisdom Stripes. Follow me on at Meg Tuohey Official and leave a comment and review. I'm looking forward to meeting you here next time on Wisdom Stripes.